All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I'm going to start going over this thing I found online, and let's see if we can find out actually where it is. So it's Introduction to MySQL and PHPMyAdmin by P. David Polly. There's other ways I can check for this also, but that's what I'm going to use. So, bring up a different browser here, and here it looks like, if you're interested, this is the associated URL for this. All right. So you may care, you may not, but this is the one I grabbed. So there it is. Okay. Now, this is about 5 pages long, really 4 and a little bit at the top. And notice it's Introduction to MySQL. Well, you've already had that. So the idea behind this particular lecture is to give you a quick, very quick little introduction to PHPMyAdmin. As you can see, let me blow this up a bit. PHPMyAdmin is a web-based interface to MySQL. The interface is written in the PHP programming language. I know PHP. We don't teach it in the program that I'm in, so I'm not going to be going over it. But as it says there, PHP is frequently used for web-based interactive programs. PHPMyAdmin translates what you enter into the web browser, sends queries to the MySQL database, and translates the returned information back into a web format. All right? Now, as they mentioned, there are other ways, different ways that you can start up at PHPMyAdmin. So let's look at a couple of them. One I've already shown you, and that is I can start up PHPMyAdmin. In fact, I think I might have it running over here. So I'm going to stop it. All right. So from right here, if I want to, I can type in either localhost /PHPMyAdmin. So that's one way of doing it. Again, try that again. So one way again of doing this So how to start up PHPMyAdmin. Number 1, from your browser, enter localhost. You don't need the HTTP, it'll put it in for you automatically, but you can put that in. Secondly, from your browser, enter, and instead of putting in all of this, which is, again, is totally legit, I should be able to put in 127, I think it is, 0.0.0.1, which is this localhost is an alias for this, which is the IP address of your current machine. I believe that's correct. And as you notice, that started up PHPMyAdmin. All right, so that was yet another way of doing it. The other way that you can start it up that I know of is you can click here and choose under MySQL, choose admin. Now that defaults, and you can probably reset this, but on my machine at least, that defaults to IE, which I don't like using. All right, again, you probably can change that. So I'm just going to start it up with localhost /PHPMyAdmin. All right, that's how I'm going to start it up. Now, the first time you do this, you probably won't have all of the databases in here that I have. Why? Because I've already put them in. All right. I've got a bunch of databases and a bunch of different things that I put in here. So, showed you 3 ways. So from XAMPP or XAMPP control panel, choose from the MySQL tab, I don't know if you call it tab, select admin. Any of those 3 ways will work. All right, and that's what they talk about in here. So I'm not going to go into that in any more depth or breadth of coverage. All right. Now, when you come in here and you start working with this stuff, there are different ways, different things that you can do. As you can see in here, we can create our own database. We can create and import tables into the database. We will be able to debug to a certain extent. All right, and we'll be able to write queries. Now, the easiest way for me to show you this stuff is to actually create something. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a very simple database right now in here. All right, it won't be normalized. It'll have, it's just basically it's a down and dirty, quick little database. So to start here, I'm going to choose databases, and it shows me the databases that I have. It says I currently have 13. I want to create a new one, okay? And let's just say I'm going to create one, and I'm going to call it students. So I type in students. The collation, basically this is the character set that I'm going to use. You're best off leaving it at Latin _ Swedish _ CI, which is, believe it or not, covers English and American, etc. too. All right, so if I do that, notice I have nothing over here that's called students, but when I click create, it says the database has been created and there's students. Well, databases are nothing without tables. All right, so let's say that I'm going to create the program that I teach in at Rankin Technical College is called the Application Web Development Program. So I'm going to call this AWD. All right, and how many columns is it going to have? Let's make it 5. All right, so I say go. And it's going to start building. There's the structure for me. So the first thing I'm going to have here is an ID. It'll be of type integer. I'm not going to put a length in it. And I'm going to say that that thing is going to be a primary key that is going to use, well, I guess they may want a size, make it 11. And I want it to automatically increment. All right, so I have that. Now my next field, this we'll call first name. This will be of type varchar, and we'll make it pretty big, 30. And we'll say that it will not allow it to contain nulls. All right, no nulls. Okay, the next field we'll have in here will be last name. All right, it will also be a varchar, and it will also be of size 30, and we again will not allow nulls. All right, the next field, let's put a couple other things in here. So, this is kind of silly, but we'll put this in anyway. I don't know students' birth dates, but we're going to put in here birth date. We're going to make that a date field. All right, and if we don't know that, we will allow nulls for that. Finally, we'll create one more field that we'll call GPA for grade point average. All right, and we'll make that a decimal field, and we'll say that it is, the length will be, excuse me. So we'll say that the length of that field, I'm not sure if this will take this, 3, 2. I don't know if it'll take that or not. I might get an error on this. Save. Yep, incorrect. The use part isn't part of the string is longer, etc. Okay. looks like it when I do this. I might want to say 3 space 2. Will it take that? No, doesn't like that either. Tell you what, we'll just take this and we'll make this of type double. All right? And I'm not even going to give it a size. So now let's see if we save it. Incorrect prefix key. The used part isn't a string. The used length is longer than the key, or the storage engine doesn't support unique prefix keys. I've gotten this error before, and it's a strange error. So we type in here MySQL error. I think that was 1089. Remove the number from your primary key declaration. You should just use the column. Well, earlier I put that number in, because they asked me to. So it may be that I have to take this number back out of here. It may be that the error is actually coming from here. So I'm going to come back and change this to a varchar and then change it back to an int. I'll see if it takes that. Save. Darn it. I believe those are correct because we put in numbers there. Date, you shouldn't need a number for. Double, you shouldn't need a number for. InnoDB is fine because that's our table type. This is the SQL that's getting generated when we do this. So let's take a look at that, see if we can find anything that looks like it could conceivably be incorrect. So it's doing create table students. The name of the table is AWD. The name of the database is students. We're going to have an ID, int, not null, auto increment. First name varchar 30, not null. Last name varchar 30, not null. A birth date, date, which will allow nulls. A GPA, which is a double, which does not allow nulls. Our primary key is ID. I think this might be what's goofing it up. And our engine type is InnoDB. This is the entire command that's getting created for us. All right, I'm going to go back and see if I can circumvent what's going on in there. So I'm going to copy this. Copy. Go back into where I was, close this, and one. Okay, I'm going to see if I can go back into my databases, go back into students here, and see if it'll let me manually put this in. So there's that same create table. All right, go. And it allowed me to create the table that way. How do I know that? Well, if I come up to structure, okay, you'll notice there's my table. There's the structure of the table. The ID, which is the primary key, first name, last name, birthday, GPA. Now, I'm not doing much to sell you probably on using this, but it's actually a very nice tool. So I'm going to click create or insert there. I shouldn't have to put in an ID. These are the types and these are the values. So let's put a couple records in here. So Jeffrey, fine. Scott, birth date. Don't like to give that out, so I won't. Let's just put in 1990 0202. All right, GPA, well, he's a 4.0 student, of course. All right, so I click go, and that automatically generates the following SQL. So you saw the create table, and that generated this. Oops, I do want that there. That generated null for the ID, Jeffrey for the first name, I'm spacing this out so you can see it, Scott for the last name, 1990-0202 for the birth date, and 4.0 for the GPA. All right, so it put all that stuff in there for me. Now what I should be able to do is click SQL here and type in select star from AWD. I don't need the semicolon, but I can put it in. Click go, and there's my record. Jeffrey Scott, etc., etc. All right? Now that was very simplistic, but I wanted to show you how to do this. So what I've just shown you is 3 different ways of getting in to PHPMyAdmin, all right, followed by how to go in and create a table, how to create a database, then how to create a table, even though I had some problems, all right, how to add a record to that table, and how to run an SQL DML statement on that. So you'll notice if I wanted to come in here now and I wanted to say update AWD set, and I can put it all on one line if I want to. Make this a little bigger. Set, let's see, birth date equal, let's just say I'm going to use today's date. All right, 2017 0404. And there's only one record, but I'll say this anyway, where ID equals 1. And I can put spaces in there or leave them out. So, click go, and it shows me what it generated. And if I come back in here and browse the database again, notice that it has changed the birth date. And I can change the GPA, I can do anything I want. So I can come in, I can click edit. If I want to come in here and edit the data from here, I can do that, as opposed to editing it using an update statement. So if I want to change it, for example, from Jeffrey, which is my proper name, to Jeff, and click go, you'll notice that once I do that, it's changed it. All right, I can click copy and make a copy of this. So if I wanted to add another one, so let's say I wanted to add my wife. All right, and let's put a different date in there. So let's put 2015 as an example and click go. And now you'll notice there are 2 records. If I don't want that record anymore and I click delete, it says, it will ask me, are you sure you want to? Boom, it's gone. Now if I click again, if I click, for example, copy, and I put her back in there again, and click go, notice that we have again lost ID 2 because we removed that record. All right, so we're going to do a lot of work, but we're going to run through this fairly slowly. All right, one last thing I want to mention to you. All right, again, I gave you the URL for wherever that was, that 5-page, I guess that was it, 5-page little document on this. And there are plenty of documents that are out there. So if I come in here and I click, for example, if I come in here and I click, or I enter PHPMyAdmin tutorial. All right, 247,000 hits. This is the one that I used right here. All right, there are plenty of them. Now, I clicked on this link that says Mastering PHP Admin 3.4 for Effective MySQL. This is a book by Pact publishing that's, I think it's like 384 pages long. Much more information. I do not at all consider myself an expert on PHPMyAdmin. I've got a comfort level using it. But if you're interested in learning more, you can click that link, and you can see it's still loading. But after you've clicked the link, then you can take a look at what's in there. And again, these packed publishing books are very well written. 394 pages. And if we quickly look, and I mean quickly, all right, getting started with PHPMyAdmin, configuring authentication and security, overviewing the interface, creating and browsing tables, changing data and structure, exporting structure and data, importing structure and data, searching data, performing table and database operations, benefiting from the relational system, entering SQL statements, generating multi-table queries, synchronizing data and supporting replication, using query bookmarks, documenting the system, transforming data using MIME, supporting features added in MySQL 5, tracking changes, administering MySQL Server, and you see again 394 pages. It's one of those things where I always say I'm going to take the time and read this and go over it with a class, but there never seems to be the time to do that. So what I'm going to do in the next lecture is I'm going to come in and build a really cheesy, simple little database that actually will not be well written. And I'm going to do it like that on purpose. So I'll be back with that lecture shortly.